Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Bond Court is now in session.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We are now streaming live on YouTube since these are remote proceedings, and we want the public to have access to these public proceedings. My name is Judge Anyama Ferry. I am with the Clayton County Magistrate Court, and I will be presiding over your first appearance hearing today by designation of the Clayton County Superior Court. So I have several announcements that I'm going to make to you all. But before we get started, if I will have everyone raise your right hand and let me swear you in. Do you all swear and affirm that any statements you give before this court and any statements that you have included on your court-appointed attorney applications are true and correct, so help you God? If so, say I do and lower your hands.
I do.
All right, thank you all. So I am going to explain what will take place today. Today, it is called, again, your first appearance. This is the first time that you are appearing before a judge after you have been arrested. Now, the purpose of today's hearing is not to try your case. As you can see, we don't have a jury. We don't have the prosecutors here. So we are not here to actually try your case. We are not here to take any pleas today either. The purpose of you being here is for the court to inform you of the charges for which you were arrested, for the court to inform you about your status regarding bond, whether you will receive a bond or not. If so, how much that bond will be. For the court to provide you with your next hearing date, which is called your preliminary hearing, and for the court to determine whether or not you qualify to have a court-appointed attorney represent you in these proceedings. Now, you do have several rights. You have the right to remain silent and say nothing today. Should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you if this case goes to trial. Like I mentioned at the beginning of my announcements, we are streaming live on YouTube. So keep that in mind regarding any statements you make before this court. During this proceeding and all other proceedings, you do have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state proves your guilt by beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to an indictment by a grand jury if you've been charged with a felony, or you have the right to an accusation if you've been charged with misdemeanors. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury. You have the right to see, hear, and cross-examine any witnesses who are called to testify against you. You have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to court on your own behalf by issuing a subpoena. You have the right to testify and offer other evidence in your own defense, should you choose to do so. However, if you choose not to do so, there will be no presumption of your guilt raised. And you will also have the right to have an attorney represent you, whether it be a court-appointed attorney or whether you hire your own attorney to represent you. Now, with regards to the issue of bond, some of you will be allowed to post what we call an unrestricted bond for you to be released from jail pending the prosecution of your case. Now, the bond may be a cash bond. The second option is that it could be a commercial bond. The third option is that you can use what we call a property bond. Option, a cash bond. If you decide that you are able to post your bond using cash, then you will pay the full amount of your bond to the Clayton County Sheriff's Office, plus any additional fees that are required for them to charge you. And the Sheriff's Office will hold that amount until the final disposition of your case, and then they will return that amount to the person who posted the cash. So for example, if I say that your bond is $1,500 and you have $1,500 in cash, you can pay that cash to the Clayton County Sheriff's Office. They will hold that amount. You'll pay them any additional mandated fees that they have to charge you, and then that money will be returned at the final disposition of your case. That's the first option. The second option is what we call a commercial bond. Now, if you decide that you don't have the full amount of your bond, you can go through a commercial bonding company that has been approved by the Clayton County Sheriff's Office. Now, the commercial bonding company, they are in the business of making money, so they charge different fees and percentages to post the bond for you. I don't have their bond schedule. I don't know their fees. You will have to contact the different bonding companies to find out exactly how much they'll charge you, but they could charge you up to 15%. Let's say you call a commercial bonding company because your bond is $1,500. And when you call them, if they tell you that they'll charge you, for example, 10% of the $1,500, then that means you'll have to pay the bonding company $150 plus any other fees that they charge to be able to be released from jail. And the commercial bonding company will post that $1,500 bond for you. Now, the fees that they charge you, that's the fee for their service. You do not get that money back. Okay, that's the second option. Now, the third option is the property bond. You will need to find someone who owns property that has net equity in their property equal to at least 3 times the amount of your bond. So again, example, if you have a $1,500 bond, then you have to find someone who has property with at least 3 times that amount. So that means their property has to have net equity with at least $4,500 of net equity in that property. Now, those are the 3 options that you can use for bond. Now, some of you will have special conditions on your bond that prohibit you from doing certain things, which may prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to certain places. Now, if I say that you cannot contact someone, that means you have to stay away absolutely, directly or indirectly, by mail, email, pager, telephone, third person. You have to stay away from their home, workplace, and from any immediate family members that are related to that particular individual. And so that also includes social media. You cannot contact that person via social media. If I tell you that you cannot go back to a certain place or residence, that means you cannot go back. If it is a shared residence, be sure to inform me of that, because sometimes it's not evident on the paperwork. And if it's a shared residence, what I will allow you to do is, once you are released from jail, you'll have 10 days to make an appointment with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office, and they can escort you back to your residence to collect some of your undisputed items. And you'll have 10 days from the release of jail to make that happen. Now, should you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked. You will not be entitled to another bond while you wait for trial. And you may have an additional charge of aggravated stalking, influencing a witness, or any other charges that the law may provide. Those charges could be brought against you. You could be sentenced up to 10 years in prison, and you could also be fined up to $20,000. We take these bond conditions seriously, so please do not violate these bond conditions. At the very minimum, if you are given a bond, everyone will have the general prohibition that you must not violate any laws while you are out on bond. Now, for family members who will be assisting you in posting your bond, they will be provided with the bond information after we have concluded the first appearance calendar today. I am going to take each of you individually, and I will handle your case. Then once I have completed every single person's case today, I will complete the paperwork, send it over to the jail. The jail will process it and provide your family members with the necessary information that they need to help you bond out. Now, if your family member is a victim listed on the warrant, and I have stated that there's a special condition that you are not to have any contact with that family member, then he or she would not be allowed to post the bond for you. You will have to find someone else to help you post bond. Keep that in mind. Now, some of you may be charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set a bond for you, or by which this court has exercised discretion to deny you bond. In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a superior court judge, and you will be informed of that date. If you are currently on active probation, this court may not be authorized to set a bond for you depending on your charges. We will give your probation officer an opportunity to decide whether he or she will file a warrant to revoke your probation. And this is typically done during what we call your preliminary hearing. So each of you, when you leave here today, you will have a court date by which you may return, which is called your preliminary hearing. The purpose of your preliminary hearing is a probable cause hearing. During the probable cause hearing, the court will determine whether or not there's enough evidence or whether there's enough probable cause to justify keeping you detained on your charges until your case goes to trial. Now, remember, this is a probable cause hearing to determine whether or not you should remain in jail. But if you end up bonding out of jail, there's no need for that hearing because you're out of jail. And so your preliminary hearing will be waived if you bond out. But I'm going to give each of you a preliminary hearing date in case you do not bond out. If you are charged with just misdemeanors only, you may choose to waive your preliminary hearing date and not have it. In that instance, you can let me know that you just want to waive it and you want to proceed with the judicial process. I will give each of you your preliminary hearing dates when you come before me. And again, if you are not issued a bond here today, I will give you your bond hearing date when you come before me. Now, keep in mind that even though we are conducting this proceeding by remote means and by video conference, this is still a formal judicial court proceeding. So I expect each and every one of you to conduct yourselves accordingly. And I expect each and every one of you to be respectful to the court. And when I call you up, I will give you the information that you need first. So listen to what I have to say. And then at the end, I will ask you if you have any questions. And then if you have any questions, I'll address your question at that time. Okay. So we are going to start with the female inmates. And the first person I have on my list is Ms. Ayala. So Ms. Ayala, if you can come forward. Are you Casey Ayala?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good morning, ma'am. You have been charged with one misdemeanor offense of simple battery. Your bond has been set at $3,000. And as a special condition to your bond, you are to stay away and have no contact with Shaylin Tate. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be scheduled for June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. That will be conducted by Zoom video conference, just like this proceeding. Now, if you bond out, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I reviewed your application for a court-appointed attorney, and I am appointing an attorney to represent you. Do you have any questions, Ms. Ayala, about the information I just provided you?
Who is Shaylin Tate?
It says it was the alleged victim. It says Shaylin, SHAY-LYNN Tate. It says she was the alleged victim where you allegedly threw a closed fist punch and grabbed her hair, pulling 3 braids out of her head. So she is the person that was named on as the victim in this warrant. Okay. Do you have any other questions for the court?
No.
All right. You may be excused. Have a good day.
Thank you.
The next person I have is Dartricia Bishop. Good morning. Are you Miss Bishop?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Bishop, you have been charged with one misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. After reviewing the warrantless arrest affidavit, I have denied that warrant, and so I am dismissing this charge. I don't believe that based on the charge and the facts stated in the warrant, that there is sufficient probable cause to keep this charge. So once I dismiss it, you will receive a copy and you will be released. You have any questions for the court, ma'am?
No.
Okay, have a good day. The next person I have is Nia Brown. Are you Miss Nia Brown? Okay, Miss Brown, you've been charged with speeding 35 miles per hour and over. It's a misdemeanor offense. Your bond is automatically set by schedule. That amount is $1,500. Your preliminary hearing date is scheduled for June 14, 2022, but if you bond out, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this case. Do you have any questions for the court?
No.
Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. The next person I have is Demesia Colbert. Good morning, Ms. Colbert. You have been charged with one misdemeanor simple assault. That bond is set at $3,000. You've also been charged with a misdemeanor battery offense. That bond is set at $5,000. So your total bond between both offenses is $8,000. As a special condition to your bond, ma'am, you are to stay away and have no contact with Jasmine Hurd. Also, you cannot return to Unit 3, Section 6, housing unit at 9157 Terra Boulevard in Jonesboro, Georgia. Now, I have scheduled your next court date to be June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom. If you bond out before then, that court date will be waived and you'll get a new court date in the mail. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this case. Do you have any questions, Ms. Colbert, about the information I just provided?
No.
All right, ma'am, you may be excused. Have a good day. Michelle Corverabias. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. It's Michelle Holloway Corverabias.
Right here. Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
Just do your name.
Okay, good morning. Are you Michelle Holloway Corverabias?
Good morning. My name is Miguel. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay, go have a seat. Okay, Judge, that's gonna be a male.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. All right. Let me save that. All right, so I have Markeisha Davis.
There you go. All right.
Okay, are you Markeisha Davis?
Yes,
Okay. Marquita Davis. Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Davis. Marquita Davis. You've been charged with one misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass, family violence. After reviewing the warrantless arrest affidavit, I find that there's insufficient probable cause to keep this warrant, so I have denied it and dismissed it. Once I sign the dismissal, you'll receive a copy and you'll be released, ma'am. You have any questions for the court?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Have a good day. Misty Garcia.
Yes.
Good morning. Are you Miss Garcia? I can't hear you. You have to speak up a little bit.
Ma'am.
Okay. So Ms. Garcia, you've been charged with one misdemeanor theft by taking. That misdemeanor offense is a $2,000 bond. And then you've also been charged with theft by taking motor vehicle. That bond amount is $10,000. So your total bond amount between both offenses is $12,000. As a special condition to your bond, ma'am, you cannot return to 11110 Knotty Pine Place in Hampton, Georgia, 30228. And I have scheduled your preliminary hearing date to take place on June 15, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. And that will be conducted by Zoom video conference, just like these proceedings. If you bond out prior to that date, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I have appointed an attorney to represent you in these proceedings. Do you have any questions, Ms. Garcia, about the information I've provided you? All right, you may be excused, ma'am. Have a good day. Cornecia Lewis. Good morning, Ms. Lewis. You have been charged with one felony aggravated assault. As a special condition, your bond amount is set at $20,000. And as a special condition to that bond, you are to stay away and have no contact with Zelicia Peterson. And because this is a felony, your next preliminary hearing date is scheduled for June 15th, 2022. If you do bond out prior to that date, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did review your application and I have appointed an attorney to represent you in these proceedings, and that attorney will contact you at the information that you provided, at the contact number and address you provided on your form. Do you have any questions about the information I just provided you with, ma'am? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. The next person I have is Anna De Silvia Miguel.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Ms. Miguel. You've been charged with one misdemeanor offense of disorderly conduct. Your bond is set at $1,500. Now, as a special condition of this bond, if you return to the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, you have to have a valid ticket to travel. Otherwise, while this bond is in place, you cannot go to the airport unless you are traveling on that day. Okay. I have scheduled your preliminary hearing date to be June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It will be conducted by Zoom video conference. If you bond out, though, that court date goes away. It is waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did appoint an attorney to represent you as well. You have any questions about the information I just provided you?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your question?
I already pay my bond today,
Okay.
in the morning. I need to know if I can go today, or I need to come back here for report or something like that.
So if you pay your money today, like I mentioned, once I complete the paperwork and I send it over to the jail will begin processing it. And once you pay your bond, you will be released. Okay. And then once you're released, that June 14th court date goes away. You won't have that court date anymore. You'll receive a new court date in the mail. All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Cerelia Riggins. Good morning. Are you Ms. Riggins?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, Ms. Riggins, you've been charged with 4 misdemeanor offenses. The first one is an open container violation. That bond is set at $500. The second offense is a DUI. That bond is set at $5,000. The third offense is possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That bond is $1,500. And the fourth offense is being in possession of a drug-related object. That bond is $500. So your total bond amount between all 4 offenses is $7,500. Your next preliminary hearing date is scheduled for June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It will be conducted by Zoom video conference. If you bond out before that date goes away, it is waived, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did review your application for a court-appointed attorney, and I am appointing an attorney to represent you. Do you have any questions about the information I just provided you, Ms. Riggins?
Yes, ma'am. I have a lawyer, so when I get done, I'm able to call and everything, and we figure those things out, would they also be able to relay that message to you of who my lawyer will be?
Yes, absolutely. So once you officially retain your lawyer will file a notice with the court, letting the court know. And so the court-appointed attorney will know, and this court will know as well. And so your private lawyer will take over representation of you. All right. Do you have any other questions? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. Maya Taylor. Good morning, Ms. Taylor. You have been charged with 1 misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. That bond is set at $1,500. As a special condition to your bond, however, you can't have any contact with Emily Ayala. Also, you can't return to 1801 Chase Lake Drive in Jonesboro, Georgia. Is that a shared residence that you have with Ms. Ayala?
It is.
Okay, I'm going to indicate on here that you can return back to get your belongings. You have to make an appointment with the sheriff's office to collect any of your personal belongings that's not in dispute. You'll have 10 days to do that upon your release. I've scheduled your preliminary hearing date for June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. That will be by Zoom video conference. If you bond out prior to then, that court date goes away, it will be waived, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. So make sure the court has your updated address since you can't return to the Chase Lake Drive address. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in these proceedings, so that attorney will be in contact. Do you have any questions about the information I just provided you, Ms. Taylor?
Yeah.
What's your question?
Okay, no, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
No,
All
ma'am.
right. Have a good day. Okay, I think is that it for the female inmates?
Ma'am,
I think that's it for the female inmates, correct, deputies?
it is, Judge.
Okay, great. So I'm ready for the males.
Hey. You turn in.
The first person I have is James Bethea available? I'll go ahead and do Mr. Bethea.
All right, guys, we're gonna take you back to where you came from.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning. Are you James Bethea?
Yeah,
Bethea, okay. So, Mr. Bethea, your hearing is a little different from everyone else's hearing. This is what we call the extradition hearing. All of the rights that I advised everyone of earlier still apply in your case, but your hearing is a little different. You do not have charges pending against you here in Clayton County, Georgia. You have been brought to court today because you have charges pending against you in another state, and they are requesting that you return to that state to answer to these charges. And your name, just to clarify, is in fact James Evan Bethea, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an attorney representing you in this matter, Mr. Bethea?
Not at this time.
Okay. So you have been charged with being a fugitive from justice. The warrantless arrest affidavit states specifically that you did enter and remain in the state of Georgia, knowing that you were wanted by the Mississippi Department of Corrections for the offense of probation violation. And that case number is NICW 05307019, a felony. And they have indicated that they will extradite you back to Mississippi. So this hearing is conducted pursuant to Georgia law OCGA Title 17, Chapter 13. As you've heard, it's alleged you are charged with probation violation, a felony in Mississippi. And you have a choice as to whether you want to contest the extradition or whether you want to waive the extradition and voluntarily return to the other state without going through the formal extradition process. Now, if you decide to, you do want to waive it. Okay. So what will happen if you haven't signed it already, sign the waiver papers that you have been provided, and we will start processing that. So that way you can be extradited back to Mississippi. Now, if the state is unable to extradite you within 30 days, you may be committed to the county jail for an additional 60 days while you await your extradition. If your extradition is not completed within 90 days, you will be released. But as I mentioned, they've already indicated that they will extradite you. So once you sign that extradition waiver, you will be processed and the state of Mississippi will come and pick you up. You have any questions for the court?
No, ma'am.
All right, you may be excused. Have a good day. Okay, I have Rashad Coney.
Here you are.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Coney. You have been charged with 3 misdemeanor offenses. The first one is battery family violence. That bond is set at $5,000. The second offense is criminal trespass, unlawful purpose. That bond is set at $1,500. The second offense is obstructing or hindering law enforcement. That bond is set at $1,500. So your total bond between all 3 offenses is $8,000. You have a special condition for the release of you on bond, and that is to stay away and have no contact with Angel Rodriguez. You also cannot return to the Motel 6 located at 628 Southside Commercial Parkway in Jonesboro, Georgia. Now, your next court date I have scheduled you for is June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. If you bond out prior to that date, that court date will be waived and you'll get a new court date in the mail. I have also approved you to have a court-appointed attorney represent you in these proceedings. Now, do you have any questions for the court about the information I just provided you, Mr. Coney?
Yes.
What's your question?
I was trying to say about the criminal trespassing one because that was my first time I've been there, and I was never told that I couldn't be there or never told anything like that. I'm just trying to say because I never.
No, that's a good question because most people are not really clear when they get a criminal trespass charge. So the reason for the criminal trespass is it's that the warrant states that you did intentionally take her phone and you refused to give her iPhone 11 back to her after she repeatedly asked for her property back. And so that's the reason why you got the criminal trespass. So it's not just walking on or going on somebody's property, it's when you interfere with the use of someone's personal property, just like the iPhone. So
That never happened.
well,
I'm trying to
hang on. I'm not, Mr. Coney, hang on, because remember when I told you that this isn't the time to try your case, you're presumed innocent right now, okay? I'm just telling you what you were charged with, and you asked me what was the basis listed on the warrant, and that's what the warrant states. Now, I did appoint an attorney to represent you, so it's very important that you share those facts and details with your lawyer, so that way your lawyer knows how to craft the defense for you, okay? Did you have any other questions about your charges or your bond amount or your court date?
And the last one, the last charge.
The last one said obstruction of a law enforcement officer. And it states that you did knowingly and willfully obstruct and hinder a lawful law enforcement officer in the lawful discharge of their official duties. Let me see if I can tell you. It states specifically the probable cause says that the offender was given verbal commands from officers to stop walking away while the investigation was being conducted. However, the offender began running away from the officers. The offender took off running away from the officers while verbal commands to stop running were given. So that was the probable cause that resulted in a warrant that another judge signed off on. Okay. Do you have any other questions about the charges?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't have any other questions, you may be excused, sir. Best of luck to you.
What's the bond total?
It is $8,000.
Right.
The next person I have is Michelle Holloway Kavarabayas. Good morning. Are you Mr. Kavarabayas?
Yes.
Okay, you have been charged with one misdemeanor offense of driving with a suspended license. That bond amount is set at $1,500. Your next court date is June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. that will be conducted by Zoom video conference. If you bond out before that date, that court date will be canceled and waived, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this case, so your attorney will be in contact. Do you have any questions for me, sir? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. Bakari Grant. Good morning, Mr. Grant. You have been charged with one misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. That bond is set at $2,000 as a special condition to, that bond has been set at $1,500, so $1,500. As a special condition to that bond, however, you cannot return to Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport without having a valid ticket to travel on that day, okay? And your next court date is scheduled for June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. That will be by Zoom video conference. If you bond out prior to that date, that court date is waived and you will receive a new court date in the mail. Do you have any questions, Mr. Grant?
Is there, all right, I'm willing to pay the bond, but at this point, if I pay the bond in everything, could I leave today? As in,
Yes, so once I complete the paperwork, I'm gonna send it to the jail. They'll process it, and then once you pay the bond, you'll be released out on bond. Okay?
and may I ask again, for the trespassing, how is it so the accumulated to just 1,500?
Yes, 1,500. Yes.
But how so much, like, how is that as expensive, I should say? Why so expensive in this?
I'm sorry, what's your question?
I was asking the price, is that the usual price, if you don't mind I ask?
That is the bond amount based on your based on what I've reviewed as far as your criminal history and based on the allegations. So it varies. I'm sorry?
Profile, do I have a criminal history?
No, I did not see a criminal history when I reviewed your background. That's why your bond is 1,500, sir.
Am I not a first time offender? Or not even
Okay,
offender?
so I'm sure you know the answer to that question. I just mentioned to you that I did not see a criminal history, and I set your bond at $1,500 for the offense of criminal trespass based on the allegations. You will be able to bond out today if I can sign off on this paperwork and the jail can process it and get you out today, okay?
Okay, Your Honor, but can I say one more thing if you don't mind?
You can ask a question. If you have a question, you can ask a question, but remember, I don't want you to say anything that's going to jeopardize your case. So what is your question? Do you have a question about the court date or the bond?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and just so you know, I've appointed an attorney to represent you, sir, okay? Okay, have a good day. The next person is Delrico Harrell. Okay, are you Mr. Harrell? Okay, so Mr. Harrell, you were charged with several misdemeanor offenses. The first one is driving on a suspended license. That bond is set at $1,500. The second offense is you had an expired tag or expired registration. That bond is $500. The third offense is you were driving with no insurance. That bond is $1,000. And then the next offense was child restraint violation. Actually, those are the next two offenses. And I have dismissed those two offenses. So you will get a dismissal order on the child restraint seat violations based on the warrantless arrest affidavit. I deemed there to be insufficient probable cause to keep those offenses. So you just have the three offenses that I mentioned, the driving on a suspended license, the no tag, and no insurance. So the total bond amount between those offenses is $3,000. Your preliminary hearing date, which is your next court date, is scheduled for June 14th, 2022. Once you bond out, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And the time for that court date is 8:30 a.m. and it will be conducted by Zoom video conference. I have also appointed an attorney to represent you in these proceedings. Do you have any questions about the information I just provided you with, Mr. Harrell? Okay, you may be excused, sir. Have a good day.
Okay.
Martavius Jackson. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Jackson. You have been charged with one misdemeanor offense of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Your bond has been automatically set by schedule in the amount of $1,500. You have a court date of June 14th, 2022. That's your preliminary hearing date. But as I mentioned, and that time is 8:30 a.m. and it will be by Zoom. But as I mentioned earlier, if you bond out prior to that court date will be waived, it goes away, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did receive your application for a court-appointed attorney, and I am appointing an attorney to represent you in this case. Do you have any questions about the information I just provided you?
Yes, I was told that I would get a signature bond.
I'm not sure who told you that. I'm not sure who told you that because only the court, the judge, myself, can determine your bond. So I'm not granting a signature bond in this case. $1,500 is the lowest that the court is willing to do based on the offense. So you can certainly talk to your lawyer if you have any questions, or you can make arrangements with a bonding company. Okay. What other questions do you have about the information I provided you, Mr. Jackson? Okay. Have a good day, sir. DeMonte Jones. Good morning, Mr. Jones. You have been charged with felony aggravated assault. I have denied bond on that felony offense. You have been charged with misdemeanor possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That bond is set at $1,500. You've been charged with the felony possession of possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. I have denied bond on that offense as well. So because you don't have bond on two of those felony offenses, you would not be able to bond out today. If you are given a bond, which will be determined at a later date, that date being June 17th, 2022, that is going to be your bond hearing date. If you are given a bond, you're going to have special conditions to stay away and not have any contact with Henry Johnson. The first court date that you will have is the preliminary hearing date, which is June 15th, 2022. And then, as I mentioned, your bond hearing date will be June 17th, 2022. Both of those start times will be 8:30 a.m. Both of those hearings will be conducted by Zoom video conference, just like we are conducting the conference here today. I did review your application and I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this case. Do you have any questions for the court about the information I just provided you with, sir?
No.
Okay, well, you may be excused, Mr. Jones. Have a good day. Jory Jones. Are you Jory Jones? Okay, I can't see you, Mr. Jones. All right. So you have been charged with one felony offense of terroristic threats, family violence. That bond has been set at $7,000. As a special condition to that bond, you are to stay away and have no contact with Abrielle Monet Jones and Tracy Danielle Mims Jones. Your preliminary hearing date is scheduled for June 15th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you bond out prior to then, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this proceeding. Do you have any questions about the information that I provided you with, sir?
No.
All right, Mr. Jones, you may be excused. Have a good day.
Also, one thing is a shared housing situation.
I can't hear you. What was that?
It's a shared housing situation.
Oh, with Abriel Jones and Tracy Danielle Jones. Okay, so you all reside in the same residence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I will allow you to go back and collect some of your personal belongings. You'll have to make an appointment with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office within 10 days of your release, and they'll escort you back to collect some of your undisputed personal items. And so long as this bond condition is in place, you won't be able to return back to 8392 Red Cedar Way in Riverdale, Georgia, but you can go back to collect those items. Do you have any other questions for the court?
No, whatsoever.
Okay. Have a good day, sir. Jacob Lambert. Good morning, Mr. Lambert. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so Mr. Lambert, you have been charged with 2 felonies. One felony, possession in violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act over an ounce. That bond is set at $5,000. And a felony, possession with the intent to distribute in violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. That bond is set at $10,000. So your total bond amount is $15,000. Your next court date is June 15th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It will be conducted by Zoom video conference. If you bond out prior to that date, your court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. Based on your application, I have appointed an attorney to represent you, sir. Do you have any questions about the information that I've provided to you? All right, you may be excused. Have a good day. Christopher Middleton.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Middleton, good morning. You have been charged with, I'm doing well, thank you. You've been charged with 1 misdemeanor offense of disorderly conduct. Your bond is automatically set at $1,500. Your court date is scheduled for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you bond out prior to then, your court date will be waived. You'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I have appointed an attorney to represent you in these proceedings. Do you have any questions for the court about the information I just provided you?
I just, one question for you is, they tell us, not to ask you really too much, but is there, I got, this charge is disorderly conduct. I hit with 3 charges he was trying to get me before he finally came up with this one, after he heard the story, then heard it, he went down, down and down. There is absolutely no way, I don't have nobody on the outside except myself for my family and my son. And I'm blessed right now, somebody's with my son. There's no way you can help any sign off or however y'all can do it, because to get out, it's disorderly conduct, he said it could have been a ticket if, I guess, I wasn't already in the back of the cop car and he listened to the sides of the story. I don't know, just any way at all, I can go home to my son.
What's your question? What's your question?
Yeah, I don't bond or anything.
I'm sorry?
What's it called, like an OR or anything?
So we cannot, it is the policy of this court to not do an OR or what we call a signature bond. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me review your file. Give me 1 second, Mr. Middleton.
I just keep getting caught at the wrong place.
Mr. Middleton, give me 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Mr. Middleton, I'm gonna deny your request and leave it set as is. I just needed to review your criminal history again. You've had similar offenses in the past, so I'm gonna leave the bond at the preset amount of $1,500, sir. Okay.
Thank
Do you have any questions? Any other questions?
No.
All right,
No,
you
ma'am.
may be excused. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. John Amos Moore III. Good morning, Mr. Moore. So I can't see your face, sir. Thank you. You've been charged with one misdemeanor offense of simple battery, family violence. That bond has been set at $3,000. As a special condition to your bond, you cannot have any contact with Shakita Dakia Moore. You have to stay away from her. Your next court date is scheduled for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you bond out before that date, your court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in these proceedings. Do you have any questions for the court? Okay, you may be excused, sir. Have a good day. Thank you. Darius Swain. Good morning, Mr. Swain. You've been charged with speeding 35 miles and over the speed limit. The bond is automatically set at $1,500. Reckless driving, that's a misdemeanor. The bond is automatically set at $1,500. And violating a red light, that bond is automatically set at $500. So your total bond amount between those three misdemeanor offenses is $3,500. Your next court date is scheduled for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It will be by Zoom video conference. If you bond out prior to that date, that court date goes away and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I am appointing an attorney to represent you in these proceedings. Do you have any questions for the court?
You said how much the bond was?
The total is $3,500.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
I don't have any more. I don't have any more
Okay.
questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day. Victavius Terrell or Terrell. Okay, Mr. Terrell, you have been charged with several offenses. The first offense is a felony aggravated assault by strangulation. The bond has been denied on that offense. The second offense is a felony terroristic threats. Your bond has been denied on that offense. The third offense is a misdemeanor criminal trespass damage to property. That bond has been set at $2,500. Your fourth offense is possession of a firearm during the commission of certain felonies, and bond has been denied on that offense as well. So since I have denied bond on these offenses, you will not be able to bond out today. I am setting your bond hearing date to take place on June 17th, 2022. You will also have a preliminary hearing date on June 15th, 2022. I have appointed an attorney to represent you in these proceedings. If you are given a bond, you will have certain special conditions in place. One of those special conditions being that you are to stay away and have no contact with Kiera Hunter or Adisha Johnson. And you will not be able to go back to the location where the incident occurred at 415 Sylvia Drive, apartment BE6 in Forest Park, Georgia. Do you have any questions for the court regarding the information I just provided you, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you may be excused. Best of luck to you. The next person I have is Andrew Weaver. Good morning, Mr. Weaver. You have been charged with one misdemeanor offense of DUI less safe. That bond is $5,000. And you have been charged with misdemeanor failure to maintain lane. That bond is automatically set at $500. So your total bond amount is $5,000 $500. I have set your next court date, which is your preliminary hearing date, for June 14th at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you bond out prior to then, that court date goes away. It will be waived, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I reviewed your court-appointed application. It looks like you intend to hire your own attorney, and I suggest that you do that because based on your salary, you don't qualify for a court-appointed attorney. Okay, so I'm not appointing an attorney to represent you. Talk to the lawyer that you intend to hire. Do you have any questions for the court?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day.
Thank you as well.
Ariane Williams. Good morning, Mr. Williams. You have been charged with 2 felonies and a misdemeanor. So you have a felony violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act of being in possession of marijuana more than an ounce. That bond is set at $5,000. You have a misdemeanor being in possession of drug-related objects. That bond is set at $500. And then you have a felony possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. That bond is set at $10,000. So your total bond amount between all 3 offenses is $15,500. Your next court date is scheduled for June 15th at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you bond out prior to then, that court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did review your application and I am appointing an attorney to represent you in these proceedings. What questions, if any, do you have for the court about the information I just provided you?
About the firearm, what if the officers never told me about it? Like I was never aware that it was a firearm in the car. I just know it.
Well, okay. I was going to say, that's the purpose of your first appearance because some people don't always know the charges they were arrested for. So that's why I'm here to tell you what the charges are. And so it just indicates on here on the warrantless arrest affidavit that there was a firearm in the vehicle. And based on the allegations, I do find that sufficient probable cause exists to issue this warrant and to move forward with these charges. Okay. Do you have any other questions for the court? All right, you may be excused. You're welcome, sir. Okay, deputy. So I think we just have Mr. Zelaya left, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, so give me 1 second. Hold on a couple of minutes. Let me get the interpreter on the line.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, deputies, I am ready. If you want to bring the inmate forward, please. And Mr. Miguel, if you can raise your right hand, let me swear you in, Mr. Interpreter. Do you swear and affirm that you would translate from English to Spanish and from Spanish to English in accordance with your training and experience?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I have the inmate before me. Sir, are you Isal Zelaya?
Señor, usted es Paul Vilella.
Okay, so
Yes.
if you can raise your right hand, sir, let me swear you in.
Por favor, levante su mano derecha para jurarlo.
Do you swear or affirm the information you give to the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? If so, say, I do.
Usted declara decir la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad ante los ojos de Dios. Y si está de acuerdo, diga, estoy de acuerdo. I do. I do.
Okay, so Mr. Zelaya, this is your first appearance before the Clayton County Magistrate Court.
Y señor, esta es su primera audiencia ante el magistrado y el juicio de Clayton.
This is not your trial today, and this is not the day that you will take a plea of guilty or not guilty.
Hoy no es el día de su juicio y usted no tiene que declarar el día de hoy culpable o no culpable.
The reason you are here is for the court to inform you of the charges for which you were arrested.
La razón por esta audiencia es para informarle acerca de los cargos por los que fue arrestado.
I will explain to you the status of your bond.
Le voy a explicar el estado de su fianza
And I will give you your next court dates.
y le daré su siguiente fecha de juzgado.
You have the right to remain silent and say nothing, but should you give up this right, anything that you say may be used against you if your case goes to trial.
Usted tiene el derecho de mantener el silencio, no tiene que hacer una declaración y cualquier declaración que haga podrá ser utilizada en su contra en algún juicio.
You have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state proves your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Usted tiene el derecho de mantener su inocencia hasta que el Estado declare y encuentre lo contrario sin ninguna duda.
You have the right to a
Hasta que lo encuentre culpable sin duda.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
Usted tiene el derecho a un juicio rápido y oportuno ante un juzgado.
You have the right to an indictment by the grand jury.
Tiene el derecho a poder ver el jurado superior.
You have the right to see, hear, and cross-examine any witnesses who are called to testify against you.
Usted tiene el derecho de examinar y cruzexaminar todos los testigos en su contra.
You have the right to subpoena any witnesses on your behalf.
Usted tiene el derecho de solicitar a cualquier testigo.
You have the right to testify and offer evidence to defend yourself if you choose to do so. If you choose not to do so, there will be no presumption of your guilt raised against you.
Y usted tiene el derecho también de hablar en su defensa, pero si usted decide no hacerlo, no se le encontrará culpable por no hacerlo, ni se le calificará como culpable por no hacerlo.
You also have the right to have an attorney appointed to represent you.
También tiene el derecho a tener un abogado que lo represente.
You have been charged with 4 offenses.
Usted ha sido cargado con tres delitos.
The first offense is false imprisonment. It is a felony offense, and I have denied your bond.
La primera es, el primer cargo es prisión falsa. Entonces, por esta razón, en este cargo es un delito mayor y no alcanza fianza.
The second offense is robbery. It is a felony offense, and I have denied your bond on that offense.
Y el segundo cargo que tiene es robo, y también le voy a declinar la fianza de robo.
Your third offense is kidnapping. It is a felony offense, and I have denied your bond on that offense.
El tercer cargo es secuestro, y también le voy a denegar la fianza en ese cargo.
The fourth offense is criminal trespass, damage to property. It is a misdemeanor, and your bond is set at $3,000.
Y el cuarto cargo es traspasar ese sin permiso en propiedad privada, y ese es un delito menor. Can you repeat the amount of the
$3,000.
Su fianza para ese cargo es de $3,000.
Because I have denied bond on 3 of your offenses, you will not be able to get out of jail today.
Debido a que usted no tiene fianza en 3 de los 4 cargos, no va a poder salir.
Your next court date will be your preliminary hearing date, scheduled for June 15th at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference.
This is the interpreter. Your Honor, could you please repeat the date?
Yes, your next court date will be June 15th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference.
Okay, su audiencia inicial va a ser el 15 de junio 2022 a las 8:30 de la mañana por videoconferencia de Zoom.
Your preliminary hearing is a hearing to determine whether or not there's enough probable cause to keep you incarcerated on your charges.
Y su audiencia preliminaria es para verificar si existe suficiente causa, suficiente evidencia en su contra para poder proceder con los cargos.
Your next hearing, or your second hearing date, is June 17th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference, and this is your bond hearing date.
Y el 22, usted va a tener una audiencia también para poder verificar la audiencia de su fianza de nuevo.
The purpose of your bond hearing date is for a judge to determine whether you will get a bond to be released from jail.
Y esa cita será para determinar si para que un juez determine si usted es elegible para poder tener una fianza.
If you are given a bond on June 17th, you will have a special condition to your bond.
Y si usted alcanza fianza el 17 de junio, usted va a tener una fianza con condiciones especiales.
That special condition is that you will have to stay away and have no contact with Glendy E. Mejia Lopez.
Y una de las condiciones es que usted no va a poder tener contacto con Glendy Igenias. I'm sorry, did you say Monse was the last name, Your Honor?
Lopez.
Oh, Lopez.
Also, another special condition is you cannot return to 6625 Terra Boulevard, Lot A51 in Jonesboro, Georgia.
Y una de las otras condiciones es que usted no puede regresar si alcanza fianza, no puede regresar a la dirección 6625 Terra Boulevard en el lote A51 en Jonesboro, Georgia.
Do you understand what I have mentioned so far regarding your charges, your bond, and the special conditions?
Y usted entiende la información que le he proporcionado acerca de su fianza y sus condiciones.
Sí.
Yes.
Do you plan to hire your own attorney, or do you want the court to appoint an attorney to represent you?
¿Usted quiere contratar su propio abogado o usted le gustaría conseguir a un abogado por su propia parte?
No.
This is the interpreter. I'm going to need a clarification. ¿Me puede repetir su respuesta, señor, más fuerte y clara, por favor?
No, con esto no estoy seguro, porque no me he comunicado con nadie.
No, I do not have money to hire a lawyer.
Okay, I am going to appoint an attorney to represent you.
Okay, yo le voy a agendar un abogado para que lo represente. Si usted no puede contratar su propio abogado.
So on your court dates, you will have an attorney present to help you.
En su fecha de juicio, de su audiencia, usted va a tener un abogado que le va a ayudar a representarlo.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
No,
¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí?
no.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day, Mr. Zelaya.
Sí.
Muy bien, gracias. Que tenga un excelente resto de su día, señor Elea.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Interpreter. I appreciate your assistance this morning.
The interpreter, you're welcome, Connor, and thank you so much for using our services. If you do need anything else, please give us a call back.
Will do. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, deputies, I think we're done for the day. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I invest hours of my time every single day to make these videos possible. Unfortunately, the engagement on my videos has been very low recently. Most of the bond court viewers do not hit the like button on my videos. Please, 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 hit the like button on my videos. The YouTube algorithms heavily favor videos with more likes. If you do not like my videos, then please tell me why in the comments and I can make changes to improve the channel. Thank you to all of you that do hit the like button. I am sorry that you have to hear this repetitive message, but without this message, less than 10% of viewers will like my videos.
Good morning, everyone. We are now streaming live on YouTube. My name is Judge Anyema Ferry. I am with the Clayton County Magistrate Court, and I will be presiding over your first appearance hearing today by designation of the Clayton County Superior Court. I have several announcements that will apply to all of you and some of you, so please listen to these announcements carefully. First and foremost, keep in mind that this is not a trial. We are not here to try your case. We are not here to take a guilty, not guilty plea. The reason that you are here is because you have been arrested on charges of which I will inform you of. I will tell you about your bond status, whether you will receive a bond and how much that will be. I will inform you about your next court date, which is your preliminary hearing date, and I will determine whether or not you require the assistance of a court-appointed attorney. Now, we are streaming live on YouTube since we are appearing by remote video conference, and the public does have access to these proceedings. So keep that in mind as you make statements to the court, because you do have several rights here today and throughout the duration of your case. One of those rights being you have the right to remain silent and say nothing about the facts of your case. But should you give up this right, keep in mind that anything that you say can be used against you in your case. During this proceeding and all other proceedings, you have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state or the prosecutors prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to an indictment by a grand jury if you have felonies, or the right to an accusation if you've been charged with misdemeanors. You also have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury. You have the right to cross-examine witnesses and see and hear witnesses that are called to testify against you. You have a right to compel your own witnesses by subpoena to testify at trial. You have the right to offer any evidence in your own defense if you choose to do so. But if you choose not to do so, there will be no presumption of guilt raised against you. You also have the right to have an attorney represent you. After reviewing each of your court-appointed applications, I will be appointing an attorney to represent each and every one of you in your case. Now, with the issue of bonds, some of you will be allowed to post what we call unrestricted bonds pending the prosecution of your trial. Your bond can be posted in one of three ways. The first way is a cash bond. It's exactly what it sounds like. If I tell you your bond amount is $1,000, then you'll pay $1,000 in cash to the Clayton County Sheriff's Office. The Clayton County Sheriff's Office will also charge you some mandated fees, and you'll pay that cash amount to their office, and they will hold that cash and then return it back to the person who posted that cash bond after the final disposition of your case. The second option, which is one of the most common options, is called a commercial bond, where you post your bond going through a commercial bonding company. If you don't have your bond amount in full cash, you can use a bonding company that is approved by the Clayton County Sheriff's Office. They charge different fees. I don't know what their fees are. I don't have their fee schedules, but I know that they can charge up to 15% of your bond amount in order to post that bond for you. So again, if I tell you that your bond is $1,000 and you contact a bonding company and they tell you that they will charge you 15%, then that means you have to pay the bonding company $150, which is 15% of $1,000. And so that is the fee that they charge you for their services. You do not get that money back. So again, I don't know their fee schedule. I don't know how much the bonding company would charge you. After you are done with your first appearance hearing today, it is up to you to make those phone calls to figure that information out. If you are able to post bond today, and if you are able to pay a cash bond today, then yes, you can be released today if you are given a bond. The third option is what we call a property bond. If you can't do a cash bond and you can't go through a commercial bonding company, you can find someone who has property with net equity in their property for at least 3 times your bond amount. So using my example of $1,000, if your bond is $1,000 and you want to use a property bond to post your bond, then what you'll have to do is you'll have to find someone who has net equity in their property for at least 3 times that bond amount. So that means the equity in their property has to be at least $3,000 under that example. Many of you will have special conditions on your bond. And when I say special conditions, you may be prohibited from contacting a certain person or from going to a certain place. Now, if I say you were supposed to have no contact with a certain individual, that means you have to stay away absolutely, directly, indirectly, by mail, email, pager, telephone, or third person from that person's home, from that person's immediate family member, and from that person's workplace or any place that they frequent. You are to have no contact if I say no contact. It does not matter if it is a mother-daughter situation, which is a few of you on this calendar today. It does not matter if it's an ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, a spouse. It doesn't matter if it's your neighbor or your roommate. You are to stay away and have no contact until such time that another judge modifies the bond conditions. Now, if I say that you are to not return to a certain place, whether it's a residence or a property or a barbershop, you are not to return back to that place. If you violate these bond conditions, we take them seriously. You could be charged with several offenses, one of them being aggravated stalking, which is a felony, or influencing a witness, or any other charges that the law may provide. You could be sentenced up to 10 years in prison and fined up to $20,000. And if you are found to have violated these bond conditions, you will be incarcerated again and you will not be released until your case has been adjudicated. If you have family members that will be helping you post the bond, they will receive the information once we are done here today. I will complete the paperwork, send it over to the jail so that way they have it, and your family member will be provided the information to help you post bond. Now, if your family member is the named victim on the warrant and you have special conditions to not have any contact, that family member will not be able to post the bond for you. You will have to find somebody else to help you out. Now, there are many of you on this calendar who will not get a bond today based on your probation status or based on the offenses for which you are charged. There are just some offenses that I do not have the authority to grant a bond here today. And in that instance, your bond hearing will take place on June 17th, 2022. I will repeat that date once you come up in front of me. If you are on active probation, as I mentioned, I may not be authorized to set a bond for you. We will give your probation officer an opportunity to determine whether or not he or she will file a warrant to revoke your probation status. And this is typically done during your preliminary hearing. So the next court date that I will be giving each and every one of you is called your preliminary hearing. The preliminary hearing is basically a probable cause hearing. The purpose of that hearing is to determine whether or not there is enough evidence or probable cause to keep you detained or incarcerated on your charges until your case goes to trial. If you bond out before your probable cause hearing date, then you won't have that court date. Because remember, the purpose of that court date is to determine whether you should continue to be incarcerated. But if you're no longer incarcerated because you bonded out, then you won't have that court date. So I will give each and every one of you your preliminary hearing date when you come before me. If you are charged with misdemeanors, just so you know, your preliminary hearing date will be June 14th. If you are charged with felonies and misdemeanors or felonies only, your preliminary hearing date will be June 15th. Okay, so I will repeat those dates when you come in front of me. Also, even though we are appearing by video conference, this is still a formal court proceeding. And I expect each and every one of you to conduct yourselves accordingly, to conduct yourselves with respect. If you cause a disturbance and I am not able to conduct your first appearance, then we'll just cancel your hearing. You'll have to just come back another day and we'll try it again. So please keep that in mind. If each of you will go ahead and raise your right hand, let me swear each one of you in. You'll raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the statements you give before this court or the statements that you have given on your court-appointed application for a court-appointed attorney is true and correct, so help you God? If so, say I do and lower your hands.
I do.
Okay, thank you all. All right, we will start with the female inmates, beginning with Robin. I think the last name is Ballou. Good morning, Ms. Ballou. You have been charged with one felony offense of violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act, Schedule 2, methamphetamine. Your bond is $5,000, and you have one misdemeanor offense of simple assault. That bond amount is $2,000. So your total bond amount is $7,000, with the special condition that you are to stay away and have no contact with Tanya Reyes Zalvalza. That's the young lady that was in the Subway shop. You can't have any contact with her. Your next court date will be scheduled for June 15, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. That will be conducted by Zoom video conference, just like this proceeding. If you bond out before June 15th, that court date will be waived. You will receive a new court date in the mail. And as I mentioned earlier, I have appointed an attorney to represent you. Do you have any questions about the information I just provided you, Ms. Ballou?
Yes, is during this time speaking before the judge, is it possible to have the arrest reviewed because of the way that it was handled? I believe that I'm not even supposed to be arrested.
So yes, to answer your question, this is just the first appearance. You're going to have several different court appearances after today. And so your next court appearance is going to be your preliminary hearing. So you will appear before a judge on June 15th for your preliminary hearing. If that court date doesn't happen, your next court date will be your arraignment. So you will have several opportunities to have your case reviewed by a judge. Talk to the attorney that I appointed you, and that attorney will be able to assist you, okay?
Is there any way to have the charges dropped today?
No, ma'am. I've already mentioned what I've mentioned as far as your case, all right? You may be excused. Have a good day. The next person I have is Keandra Bryant. Are you Miss Bryant? Okay, good morning. And then just speak up for me just a little bit. You have been charged with misdemeanor simple assault. Your bond amount is $1,500. As a condition to your bond and your release, you cannot have any contact with Stephanie Walker. Also, I'm not allowing you to return to that apartment with your mom, that 269 Highway 138 Southwest, apartment 309 in Riverdale, Georgia. You will have to find somewhere else to reside while this bond condition is in place. I am allowing you to go back to pick up some of your personal belongings. If you have some personal belongings, you will have to, once you're released, you have 10 days to contact the sheriff's office to go make an appointment to pick up your personal belongings. Do not go back to that apartment where you and your mother were living without having a sheriff's officer accompany you there. Your court date is scheduled for June 14th, 2022. But as I mentioned, if you bond out before then and you're no longer incarcerated, you won't have that court date. That court date goes away and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this case, Ms. Bryant. Okay, do you understand the information I provided you with, ma'am? Okay, do you have any questions about any of the information I just gave you? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. Marie Antoinette Burns.
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on 1 second, Judge.
Okay. Okay, so good morning, Ms. Burns.
Yes, ma'am.
You have been charged with one misdemeanor offense of battery. That bond amount is set at $3,000. You're to stay away and have no contact with your daughter, Noelle Burns, while this bond condition is in place. Now, it's indicated that you all reside in the same residence. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I pay the mortgage. That's my house.
Okay. Who else lives in that residence with you? Is there anyone else?
My brother.
I'm sorry?
Corey Gates. My brother, Corey Gates.
Okay. And do you have any other residence where you or your daughter can go?
I'm thinking that my son, he might let me stay up there until this happens, but I can't go back to my own house.
So the issue here is because we have a battery family violence situation, I have to keep you all separate. You can't have any contact with each other. It does indicate that you all live together, which is why I was wondering what your living situation is, because the goal is not to keep anybody homeless. The goal is to keep y'all separate, but somebody's going to have to leave that 7420 Ovis Lane in Riverdale, Georgia. You know, I understand you mentioned you pay the mortgage there and your brother lives there. If you have somewhere else to go temporarily until you can get this bond condition modified, then I'll indicate that you can go back and collect some of your personal belongings if you're accompanied with the sheriff's officer. Is that something that you can do?
I could probably arrange something, ma'am. I mean, even my son let me come to his house, or if my grandson, one of them, cause
Okay. All right. You don't have to go. You don't have to explain. It was really just a yes or no question. So I'm going to put on here that you can't go back there except to collect your belongings. So make sure you contact the sheriff's office within 10 days of being released so they can accompany you to help you collect some of your belongings. If you need your grandson or your brother to assist you, that's fine as well. Your next court date that I'm scheduling for you, ma'am, is your preliminary hearing date, and that will take place June 14th, 2022, 8:30 a.m. It will be by Zoom video conference, just like this proceeding. If you bond out before then, that court date goes away and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I did appoint an attorney to represent you. So definitely talk to your attorney about possibly modifying any of these bond conditions if you need to get back in your home. Do you have any questions about the information I just provided you, ma'am?
not the information, ma'am. I just want to know how long I'm supposed to stay away from my house.
Until such time that this bond condition is modified. So that's why I said, talk to your lawyer, because I don't know how long that will be. Do you know if your daughter has somewhere to go?
She homeless. I picked her up from the street.
Okay.
That's how she got out.
Okay. All right. Don't say anything more. I don't want you to get into the facts of your case. But yes, this bond condition is going to be in place until such time that it can be modified. Now, if your daughter leaves and she's no longer there, of course, you know, the goal is not to keep you homeless and keep you out of your home. You can go back so long as she's not there.
I have a eviction warrant I already took out on her. I did it on May 11.
Ma'am, that's fine, Ms. Burns. I don't need to know all that, because guess what? I can't do anything about those facts today. All I'm telling you is what I've mentioned. If she's not there, you can go back home. If she is there, you have to stay away from her and make other arrangements. But talk to your lawyer about what you need to do, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have a good one. Best of luck to you. Breasia Conaway. Okay, good morning, Ms. Conway. You have 2 misdemeanor offenses, driving on a suspended license. That's the bond automatically set by schedule, that bond amount. I can't see Ms. Conway's face. I'm sorry. Can y'all? Okay, that's a little better. Driving on suspended license, that bond amount is automatically set by schedule at $1,500. Also driving with defective headlights, that bond has been set at $500. So your total bond amount is $2,000. Your next court date is June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you bond out before then, that court date goes away. You'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I did appoint an attorney to assist you with this case. You have any questions about what I've mentioned, Ms. Conaway?
No.
Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. Anaya Frazier. Good morning, Ms. Frazier. You have been charged with 1 misdemeanor offense of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Your bond is automatically set by schedule, and that amount is $1,500. Your court date is going to be scheduled for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It will be by Zoom video conference, just like this proceeding. If you bond out before then, that court date goes away. It'll be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this case, Ms. Frazier. And did you have any questions for the court?
No, ma'am.
You may be excused. Have a good day. Shanika Hitchcock. Good morning, Ms. Hitchcock. You have been charged with one misdemeanor offense of battery family violence. As the bond amount, it is $2,500. The special condition is that you are to stay away and have no contact with Makia Durr. It was indicated that Ms. Durr is your daughter, I believe. So you can't have any contact with her. I want to know, what is your living arrangements with your daughter? Are y'all living in the house together, or what's the circumstances?
Yeah, we live in the same house, her and my two sons.
Her and her two sons? I'm sorry, speak up just a little bit. I can't hear through the mask.
Sons. It's me, her, and my two boys.
Oh, okay. How old are your boys?
One is 23, the other one is 20.
Okay. What type of living arrangements can either you or your daughter have on a temporary basis?
Her dad was supposed to pick her up.
Okay, so does she or does she not live with you?
She lives with me.
Okay, but her dad is supposed to be picking her up?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna put a restriction in here about not returning to the residence, because I know you have other probably dependents that are living there, but I'm gonna keep it in here that you can't have any contact with her. So what that means is, obviously, if she's there at the residence, you naturally can't be there because you can't have any contact with her. You see what I'm saying? But if you learn or figure out or find out that she's no longer there because maybe her dad has come to pick her up, which really needs to happen, then you can obviously go back to your own home. But I'm just going to leave that restriction in there as far as not having any contact with her. Your next court date is going to be June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It will be by Zoom video conference, just like this proceeding. If you bond out before then, that court date goes away, it is waived, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this case. Do you have any questions about the information I just provided you with, Ms. Hitchcock?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have a good day. Elaine Thompson. Good morning, Ms. Thompson. You have been charged with simple battery, family violence. It's a misdemeanor. Your bond is set at $1,500. You also have a special condition to stay away from your daughter. I don't know what's going on with mothers and daughters over the past 24 hours, but you are to stay away from your daughter as well and not have any contact with Bria Lowry. Do you all live together? It doesn't indicate this on the warrant, but did you all live together?
We do.
Okay.
She lives.
So
Graduated.
I can't hear you.
She just graduated.
Okay. So in regards to your living circumstances, tell me who all lives in your household.
My son and my parents.
Okay. Does your daughter have somewhere to go temporarily? Are there any family members or either you? I mean, I'm not sure. Tell me what options y'all have.
She could probably go stay with one of her friends.
Okay, because I'm gonna say that again.
She could probably go stay with one of her friends because I take care of my parents and my son.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told the last young lady before you. I'm gonna leave in here that you can't have any contact with your daughter. I won't put the restriction about not returning to your home because I understand your living arrangements. But obviously, if your daughter's there, you can't be there. Okay, so and you can't have any contact with her. So I don't want you trying to text her or tell her anything. You know, you're just gonna have to work this out through family members. but I won't restrict you from going home. You can't have any contact with her while this bond condition is in place. Now, if you get it modified or your case gets resolved, then obviously that condition is no longer in place. Your next court date is going to be June 14th. That is your preliminary hearing date at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference, just like this proceeding. Now, if you bond out before then, that court date gets waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I did appoint an attorney to represent you in your case. You have any questions about the information I just provided, Ms. Thompson?
No.
Okay, well, you may be excused. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, I am ready for the male inmates, starting with Alexander Akande. Good morning, Mr. Akande. You have been charged with one misdemeanor criminal trespass family violence offense. That bond is set at $1,500. You can't have any contact with Antoinette Dixon while this bond condition is in place. Your next court date is going to be scheduled for June 14th, 2022, 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference, just like this proceeding. And I did appoint an attorney to represent you. However, as I've mentioned, if you do bond out prior to then, your court date goes away, you'll receive a new court date in the mail. You have any questions about the information I just gave you, Mr. Akande? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day, sir. Justin Brown.
How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well, thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, you have been charged with 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors. Your felonies are aggravated assault as well as false imprisonment. I'm not giving you a bond today on those offenses, sir. Your misdemeanor offense is the hindering or obstructing a 911 call. That bond amount is $1,500. The cruelty to children in the 3rd degree was your 4th misdemeanor offense. I've dismissed that based on the warrantless arrest affidavit. There was insufficient probable cause to keep that charge. It's not to say that they won't pick that back up later. If you do get a bond, sir, on your 2 felony offenses, you're going to have to stay away from Franchise Welch. But I'm giving you 2 court dates. All right. The first one is June 15th. That's your preliminary hearing date. That's the court date where they'll determine whether enough probable cause exists to keep you detained. Your second court date is your bond hearing date. That date is June 17th, 2022. Both of them will take place at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. At your bond hearing date on June 17th, you'll be able to readdress the issue of bond, if not sooner, because I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this case. So certainly talk to your attorney to see what can be worked out prior to those court dates. Do you have any questions about the information I just gave you, Mr. Brown?
Man, well, I'm my dad's caregiver, so I take care of my dad. He's blind, so I don't have no other family member. He don't allow nobody else to take care of him.
What's your question?
So can I get a bond out today?
Not on this aggravated assault by strangulation and false imprisonment, sir. I can't do that. My answer is no, but I'm giving you a court date. I'm giving you a court date where you can have that issue readdressed. Do you have any other questions about the information I just gave you?
Can I get it before June, ma'am?
Yeah, talk to your lawyers. Oftentimes they are able to work it out before June. So I did appoint an attorney to represent you, okay?
As you, can you tell me, can you, from your mouth, give me a list of, can my court date be sooner? That's all I'm asking you. Can it be soon? Can it be in May?
So talk to your attorney. That's what I'm telling you. Your attorney is going to know how to represent you and is going to know what to do. Okay, talk to your attorney. The only court date I can give you is the 2 dates that I just mentioned. All right.
Okay.
Okay, best of luck to you, Mr. Brown. Devontae Carter. Mr. Carter, you've been charged with 1 misdemeanor criminal trespass offense. Your bond is set at $2,000. As a special condition to your bond, you are to stay away and have no contact with Kaylin Martin. while this bond condition is in place. Your next court date is going to be June 14, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It will be by Zoom video conference, just like this proceeding. If you bond out before then, that court date gets waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I did appoint an attorney to represent you. Did you understand the information I provided you with, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Okay,
But
do you
can I
have
ask you a quick
questions?
Yes, so would it be like 200 at the bonding company?
So remember, I said I don't know their fee schedule. I don't know. If the bonding company says it's 10% of the 2,000, then yes. But if they tell you it's 15% of the 2,000, then it'll be more than that. It'll be like $300 and some change. So it just depends. Okay. They'll be able to tell you when you call them.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Have a good day. All right. So the next person I have is Patrick Eason. Good morning, Mr. Eason. You have been charged with 3 misdemeanor offenses: DUI, alcohol, less safe. I've set that bond at $6,000. Driving on the wrong side of the road, that bond is $500. And driving on a suspended license, that bond is $1,500. So your total bond amount, sir, is $8,000. Your next court date is being scheduled for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 by Zoom video conference. That court date goes away if you're bonded out by then, and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. It looks like, did you plan to hire your own attorney, or did you want the?
Yes, well, you can still appoint me one, but I'm still gonna hire me one, Judge.
Okay, so I did go ahead and appoint an attorney to represent you. Once your private attorney comes on board, they'll just file what they need to file to let the court know that they're taking over your case. Do you have any questions for me?
No, ma'am, I'm ready to go home, sir.
Okay, have a good day, sir. John Flott.
Yes, ma'am.
Morning, Mr. Flott. You have been charged with 3 misdemeanor offenses, sir. Possession of marijuana less than an ounce, that bond is $1,500. Use or possession of drug-related objects, that bond is set at $500. And speeding, violating the speeding laws, and that bond is automatically set at $500. So your total bond amount, sir, between all 3 offenses is $3,000. Your next court date is being scheduled for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. And that will be by Zoom video conference. If you're bonded out before then, though, that court date goes away, you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did appoint an attorney to represent you based on your application, so you will have representation. You have any questions about the information I just mentioned, Mr. Flott?
3,000, right?
Yes, the total is, I'm sorry, you know what? I did my math wrong. It is 2,500. So 1,500 for the first one, possession of marijuana, and then the other 2 offenses are $500 apiece. So that's 2,500. So I'm sorry about that, $2,500. All right, any other questions? All right, have a good one. Deshaun Fuller.
How you doing?
All right, I'm doing well, Mr. Fuller. Good morning. You have been charged with 1 felony offense of theft by receiving stolen property. That bond is being set at $5,000, sir. And your next court date is being scheduled for June 15th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you are bonded out by then, that court date will go away. It'll be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. And I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this case. You have any questions about the information I just mentioned?
How much the bond was?
5,000.
5,000.
Yes, sir. You're welcome. Have a good day. Dakota Gibson. Good morning, Mr. Gibson. You have been charged with 1 misdemeanor offense of battery. That bond is set at $2,000. And as a special condition of you being released, you can't have any contact with Mark Walker. That is the individual that was at the Rainbow House. You are to stay away and have no contact with him. Your next court date is scheduled for June 14th, 2022. But if you're bonded out of jail before then, that court date goes away. Okay, you won't get that court date and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this case. Do you have any questions for me, Mr. Gibson?
You say it was $2,000?
2,000, yes, sir. All right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one. Victor Gerald Holloway Hooten, or Hooten Holloway. I'm sorry. Are you Mr. Hooten Holloway?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good morning. You have 2 misdemeanor offenses: driving without a license. That's $1,000 bond. Speeding 20 miles plus over the speeding limit. That bond is $500. So your total bond amount is $1,500. Your court date is being scheduled for June 14th, 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you bond out before then, that court date goes away. It is waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. Your application for a court-appointed attorney has been approved, so I have appointed an attorney to represent you. Any questions for me, Mr. Hooten Holloway? Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. Mr. Victor Hunt. Are you Victor Hunt? Okay, give me 1 second here. All right, Mr. Hunt, you've been charged with felony aggravated stalking, as well as felony terroristic threats. You do not have a bond at this time on either of those offenses. If you are given a bond, the same requirements will remain in place for you to continue to have no contact with Tamara Baylor. I've set 2 court dates for you, sir. The first one is June 15th, 2022. That's your preliminary hearing date. The next court date is June 17th, 2022. That is your bond hearing date, where you'll be able to address the issue of bond at that time, if not before then. I have also appointed an attorney to represent you in this case, so certainly talk to your lawyer about what options you have. Do you have any questions for the court about the information I just gave you, Mr. Hunt?
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Actually, I have 3 questions. One, I already have a lawyer that's been on this case that I put on the application. I don't know if you've seen that.
Okay, so is it I'm sorry, hang on. Is it a court-appointed attorney or is it a private attorney?
It's a private attorney. I put that on the application.
Okay, so you don't need a court-appointed attorney?
But I'm saying he told me to put the attorney's name on the application. I put that there. Y'all didn't get it?
So here, this is how it works, Mr. Hunt. Even though you indicate that you may be consulting or hiring a lawyer, technically no lawyer is on the case yet until they file into the case. And I still have to determine whether or not you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. So I understand you may have a lawyer that's working some previous charges. These are a whole new set of charges, even though it may be related to something previously. So I can state on here that you qualify even though you have a lawyer. So once your lawyer files into the case, then they'll be able to take over. Okay. What's your second question?
Is there any possibility to expedite the bond hearing and the preliminary hearing?
It is. That's where you have to talk to your lawyer, though. Usually what the lawyers do is they will get with the state prior to then. So if you want to talk to the private lawyer that you paid, they'll know who to contact. They usually contact the prosecutor's office to see whether there can be the bond issue resolved prior to then. Yes.
The issue is I can't use the phone here.
You'll be able to use it after your first appearance hearing. What's your third question?
If I've had a no contact, but the person keeps contacting me and making false reports, how am I supposed to live my life? Because I'm going to jail over false reports, and then I got.
That's not a question for me. I can't tell you how to live your life. It's not a question for the court. Do you have a question about your bond that I just mentioned, your court date, or the fact that I have approved you for a court-appointed attorney?
No, it was just more so the the no contact. I was just trying to figure out how does that work if they keep contacting me.
You mentioned you had a lawyer. I think you should really talk to your lawyer. Okay. I can't answer that for you, sir. I'm just here to give you information. So talk to your lawyer, and your lawyer will be able to let you know what type of defenses you have. All right.
You say to expedite the bonding and the preliminary, ask him to do what again?
Ask him the question you're asking me. Call your lawyer and say, lawyer, how can I get a quicker court date? And your lawyer will be able to advise you on how you can get a quicker court date, or how you can resolve the issue of the bond prior to the bond hearing date. They'll know what to do. Okay. All right. Best of luck to you, sir. Kendrick Kelly. Good morning. Are you Mr. Kelly? I can't hear you all. Just speak up just a little bit for me, Mr. Kelly, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Mr. Kelly, you were charged with a misdemeanor offense of simple battery. After reviewing the warrantless arrest affidavit, I found it to be insufficient probable cause to maintain these charges because there was no victim's name listed on the warrant. So I have to dismiss the charge. So I'm going to be signing a dismissal order. You will receive it. Now, it doesn't mean that the state can't figure out the named victim and bring the charges back. But based on what's in front of me today, I cannot approve this warrant. So I'll sign the dismissal and you'll be free to go once it's processed. You have any questions for the court, sir?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm free to go after I leave, or?
Yes. Well, once the jail gets my signed order dismissing you, then they'll release you.
That'll be today?
It should be today. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Take care. Lester Lewis Jr. Okay. So Mr. Lewis, good morning, sir. You have been charged with 3 misdemeanors: DUI less safe, failure to maintain lane, open container. The DUI offense is a $5,000 bond. The other 2 offenses are $500 apiece. So the total bond amount is $6,000. Your next court date is June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. If you bond out before then, that court date goes away. You'll receive a new court date in the mail. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in these proceedings, sir. So talk to your lawyer about any options you have. And do you have any questions for me, sir?
No.
Okay, you may be excused. Have a good day. Edward Perkins. Good morning, Mr. Perkins. You have been charged with 3 misdemeanor offenses. 1, driving without a license. That bond is automatically set at $1,000. Failure to stop or yield a stop sign. That bond is automatically set at $500. The last misdemeanor was fleeing or attempting to elude the police. I found there to be insufficient probable cause to keep that offense, so I am dismissing that 3rd offense. So your total bond amount is $1,500. Your next court date is going to be June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. It's going to take place by Zoom video conference. If you bond out before then, your court date will be waived and you'll receive a new court date in the mail. I have approved your request for a court-appointed attorney, so you will have an attorney represent you. What's your question, Mr. Perkins?
I ain't never got in trouble in the law, so I ain't never been in jail. So what the police did.
What's your question? What's your question? I don't want you to testify about what happened because remember, we're on YouTube, okay? So I don't want you to, inadvertently say something that's not going to help your case. So tell me what your question is about either what I mentioned about either your bond, your court date, or your court-appointed attorney.
I don't need an attorney. I just need to get my butt out of here and find the guy who putting the clothes on.
Okay, Mr. Perkins, if you don't have any questions, sir, you may be excused. All right, your bond is $1,500. Have a good day. Pernell Presley.
Yes.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Presley. You were charged with one misdemeanor simple battery offense. After reviewing the warrantless arrest affidavit, I've dismissed that charge. The warrant is insufficient as it does not state the victim's name. I don't know if the state will pick it back up later, but based on what is in front of me, I cannot sign off on this warrant. So your charge is being dismissed. Once it's processed with the jail, you will be released, sir. You have any questions for the court?
No.
Okay, have a good day. Nicholas Sanford. Good morning, Mr. Sanford. You've been charged with one misdemeanor offense of terroristic threats. That bond has been set at $4,000. You're to stay away and have no contact with Ashley Malone while this bond condition is in place. And your court date is being scheduled for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. And it will take place by Zoom video conference, sir. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this case. Do you have any questions for the court?
Yes, ma'am. You said my bond is set as 4,000?
4, yes, sir, 4,000.
Would it be, would I pay half of that if I go through bail bonds?
They will charge you a certain percentage. So when you call around to the commercial bonding companies, they may tell you to pay 10% of that, which will be $400, or they may tell you to pay 15% of that. It just varies depending on the bonding company. So that's a great question for the bonding company. Okay, they'll let you know how much they'll pay, or excuse me, how much they'll charge you to set the bond for you. All right. Any other questions for the court?
Is that the only case?
That's the only offense in front of me. Yes, sir. That was from March 9th, 2022 is the date of the incident. So that's the only one that's in front of me. I don't know about any other charges out there though. Okay.
Yeah, but just one more question I had, because on my papers it say the case that you just said, and then it say a case from 2020, which they just gave me a court date for this year, but I guess you don't see it and I don't see it, so.
Well, it could be something else that, was handled another time. I don't see it in front of me. So this is the only one I'm handling is the misdemeanor terroristic threats. Okay.
Okay, so that wouldn't be bonding out with this case right now, right?
Say that again.
It wouldn't be a problem with me bonding out.
So the jail is going to look to see if you have any other open warrants. So I don't know sitting here today whether you do. So I can't answer that. The jail intake will be able to let you know. But as far as this offense, you do have a bond on this offense. Okay. All right. You're welcome. Looks like Janai St. Rose or Janie St. Rose. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Are you Mr. St. Rose? Speak up for me. I can't hear you. Okay. All right. So you've been charged with 2 misdemeanor offenses, 1 possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That bond is automatically set at $1,500. And you also have a speeding offense. That bond is automatically set at $500. So your total bond amount, Mr. St. Rose, is $2,000. Your next court date is June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. And I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this case. You have any questions for me, Mr. St. Rose? Okay, you may be excused, sir. Have a good day. Eddie Terry. Okay, good morning, Mr. Terry. You've been charged with several offenses that stems from various dates. From February 12, 2022, March 10th, 2022, April 14th, 2022, and May 27, 2022. Of those 4 different occasions, you've been charged with simple battery family violence. I am showing that you are on active probation. That is still, it's a 5-year probation out of Clayton County. and you were sentenced December 15th, 2017. Based on that, sir, I am not granting you a bond on any of these violent offenses. So I'll go through it and let you know which ones. So the simple battery, family violence I mentioned, there's no bond on that. The theft by taking, you have a bond set at $2,000. The simple battery, there's no bond on that. The battery, family violence, second offense, there's no bond on that. The robbery offense, there is no bond on that. There's another simple battery, family violence, there's no bond on that. You have another theft by taking, that bond is $2,000. You have a obstructing or hindering a 911 call, that bond is $1,500. You have a, looks like a felony theft by taking, there's no bond on that. And then you have another theft by taking, that bond is set at $2,000. But since you have several offenses where you don't have a bond, sir, you won't be able to bond out. If you are ultimately able to bond out, you're not going to be able to have any contact with the mother of your child, Jennifer Danielle Crow, and you won't be able to have any contact with Paul Rainey, who's the named victim of the vehicle that was taken. You also won't be able to return back to 11110 Knotty Pine Place in Hampton, Georgia. So I have scheduled 2 court dates for you. The first one is your preliminary hearing date, June 15th, 2022, 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. The next court date is June 17th, 2022, 8:30 a.m. by Zoom video conference. I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this case. You have any questions about the information I just gave you, Mr. Terry?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Crow came down to the courthouse. It was yesterday, and she filled out the form. They had all charges dropped. When do that come into effect? How long does it take the paper to go through?
What is your question?
So Ms. Crow came down here yesterday to drop all charges against me. You know, that was the day from yesterday. The question is, how long do that paperwork? How long do that to take the paperwork process?
Okay, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. I think that's a great question for the attorney that I've appointed to represent you. So talk to your lawyer about, the status of these offenses. Keep in mind, it's more than just the battery family violence offense that you have. You have several theft by taking offenses as well. Okay. So talk to your lawyer about what your options are. But as we sit here today, there is nothing that I can do on my end other than provide this information to you. What other questions do you have?
That was the only question. I'm just saying.
Okay.
She came to the charges. She came to get the charges dropped. I was asking, how long does the paperwork take?
I don't know, sir. Talk to your lawyer.
Okay.
Jason Tolson. Good morning, Mr. Tolson. You have been charged with 2 offenses. Give me 1 second here. Okay, sir. So you've been charged with 2 offenses, 1 misdemeanor terroristic threats. That bond is set at $4,000. You also have 1 misdemeanor possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That bond is set at $1,500. Your total bond amount is $5,500. As a special condition to your bond, you can't have any contact with these individuals. Katrina Love, it was stated that that is your girlfriend. You can't have any contact with her. or her sister, Nia Love Downs, or her grandmother, Helene Laird. So you can't have any contact with those individuals while this bond condition is in place. Your next court date is being scheduled for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. And it will take place by Zoom video conference. I did appoint an attorney to represent you as well, sir. You have any questions for the court? All right, you may be excused. Have a good day. And Tramiko Williams. Good morning, Mr. Williams. I'm doing well, thank you. All right, Mr. Williams, so you've been charged with several offenses. You have been charged with, you have 5 terroristic threats charges for each of the individuals that were present in that barbershop. And so each of those offenses is set at a $3,000 bond. You also have a simple battery misdemeanor offense. That bond is set at $3,000 as well. And you have a criminal trespass offense. It's a misdemeanor. That bond is set at $2,000. So the total bond amount between all of the offenses adds up to $20,000, sir. You have special conditions to this bond. That is to stay away from Danny Boy Barbershop, located at 614 Southside Commercial Parkway in Jonesboro, Georgia. You cannot go back there while this bond condition is in place. You also can't have any contact with these individuals that were in that barbershop. Daniel Griffin, Josh Troublefield, Tajay Lean Griffin, or Jermaine Taylor. Your next court date is being scheduled for June 15th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. And that will be by Zoom video conference. And I have appointed an attorney to represent you in this case, Mr. Williams. If you do hire your own attorney, certainly that attorney can take over and file the necessary paperwork with the court. What questions, if any, do you have for me regarding the information I just provided you?
If I wanted to use my property, I want to use my own personal property. Can I use that? My house?
That I don't know. That's a great question for the bonding company or the sheriff's office, actually. So talk to them at the jail and see what you will be able to use, because I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. What other questions do you have about what I've provided you with?
That's it.
Okay. Best of luck to you, Mr. Williams. All right. Looks like the last person is Mr. Ramirez, deputy. So stand by. Let me get the interpreter on the line, and I'll be right back.
Yes, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, deputies, I'm ready. If you can bring Mr. Ramirez back up, and I'm just going to go ahead and swear in the interpreter. Madam Interpreter, if you can raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that you would translate from English to Spanish and from Spanish to English in accordance with your training and experience?
I do.
All right, thank you. Okay, good morning, sir. Are you Thomas Ramirez?
Buen día. ¿Es usted el señor Tomás Ramírez?
Okay, so Mr. Ramirez, if you can raise your right hand so that I can swear you in.
Yeah. ¿Puede levantar su mano derecha, señor Ramírez, para hacer juramento?
Do you swear or affirm the statements you give before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
¿Jura usted que las declaraciones que va a dar a esta corte son la verdad, nada más que la verdad y solamente la verdad?
Sí.
Thank you.
Yes. Gracias.
Okay, so Mr. Ramirez, you can put your hand down.
Puede bajar su mano, señor Ramírez. Gracias.
You do have the right to remain silent today, Mr. Ramirez. But should you give up this right, anything you say during this case can be used against you if your case goes to trial.
Tiene usted derecho a permanecer en silencio, señor Ramírez, pero si usted decide no hacer uso de ese derecho y declarar algo, cualquier cosa que usted declare puede y va a ser utilizada en su contra en caso de que esto vaya a juicio.
You have the right to the presumption of innocence until the state proves your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
Tiene usted derecho a ser presentado como una persona inocente hasta que el Estado pruebe que usted es culpable más allá de duda razonable.
You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
Tiene usted derecho a tener un juicio rápido por jurado.
You have the right to cross-examine witnesses who are called to testify against you.
Tiene usted derecho a examinar de forma cruzada a los testigos que sean presentados para proceder en su contra.
You have a right to subpoena witnesses to court on your behalf.
Tiene usted derecho a solicitar que se presenten testigos en la corte para su propia protección.
You have a right to offer evidence to defend yourself, but if you do not offer any evidence, there will be no presumption of guilt raised against you.
Tiene usted derecho a presentar evidencia que pueda defenderle a usted mismo, pero si no presenta evidencia, eso no implica culpabilidad en su caso hasta que se pruebe lo contrario.
You also have the right to have an attorney represent you in your case.
También tiene usted derecho a tener un abogado que le represente en su caso.
You have been charged with several offenses.
Tiene usted varios cargos.
The first one is driving with no license. That bond amount is $1,000.
Tiene usted el cargo de manejar sin licencia. La cantidad del bono para ese cargo es de $1,000.
Driving with no car insurance. That bond amount is $1,000.
Manejar sin seguro para el auto. Ese bono es de $1,000.
Driving under the influence of alcohol. That bond is $3,000.
Manejar bajo la influencia de alcohol, el bono es de $3,000.
Blocking traffic. That bond is $500.
Bloqueo de tráfico y el bono es de $500.
Red light violation. That bond is $500.
Infracción por pasarse una luz roja, el bono es de $500.
Improper lane change. That bond is $500.
Cambio de carril de forma inapropiada, el bono es de $500.
Open container violation. That bond is $500.
Llevar dentro de su vehículo un contenedor abierto con alcohol, esto es de $500.
So the total bond amount that you will have to pay to be released from jail is $7,000.
Así que la cantidad total de bono que usted tendría que pagar para ser liberado de la cárcel es de $7,000.
If you have $7,000 cash, you can pay that amount in full to the sheriff's office.
Si usted tiene esa cantidad en efectivo, puede pagar la cantidad por completo en la oficina del sheriff.
And the cash will be returned to you after the end of your case.
Y ese efectivo va a ser devuelto a usted al final de su caso.
If you do not have the entire $7,000, you can use a commercial bonding company to pay the bond for you.
Si usted no tuviera los $7,000 en efectivo, entonces puede utilizar una compañía de bono comercial para que ellos lo pongan por usted.
The bonding company charges a percentage of the $7,000 to pay the bond for you.
La compañía de bonos comerciales, ellos le cobran a usted un porcentaje para que ellos pongan esa cantidad por usted.
You will have to call the different bonding companies to find out how much you have to pay them for them to pay the $7,000 bond for you.
Usted va a tener que llamar a las diferentes compañías de bonos comerciales para averiguar cuánto es lo que usted tendría que pagarles a ellos para que ellos pongan ese bono por usted.
The last option is you can post the $7,000 bond using property.
La última opción que le doy es que usted puede pagar este bono de $7,000 utilizando alguna propiedad.
You will have to find somebody who owns property with equity in their property of at least $21,000.
Va a tener usted entonces que encontrar una persona que tenga una propiedad a nombre de él o ella, que tenga una libertad de gravamen suficiente por $21,000.
I am scheduling your next court date for June 14th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m.
Le estoy programando su siguiente fecha de corte para el día 14 de junio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
If you are out of jail by that date, that court date will be canceled and you will receive a new court date in the mail.
Si usted está fuera de la cárcel para esa fecha, entonces esa fecha va a ser cancelada y usted va a recibir una nueva fecha de corte por correo.
Do you plan to hire an attorney or do you want the court to consider you for a court-appointed attorney?
¿Planea usted contratar a su propio abogado o desea usted entonces que la corte le considere para ver si puede darle un abogado proporcionado por la corte sin cargo?
Yo no tengo, me gustaría que me pusieran uno porque tampoco dinero tengo, yo trabajo muy poco, gano poco y no tengo dinero en efectivo. Tengo 2 camionetas, una fue en la que me agarraron y tengo otra ahí donde vivo, no sé si me la pueden aceptar como pago o como hacerle yo, porque yo no tengo dinero, aparte de las cosas, yo tengo licencia, una licencia internacional, y tengo mi aseguranza de mis 2 camionetas por 6 meses. No sé por qué me pusieron esos cargos.
So I would like to have a court-appointed lawyer, please, because I don't have money to afford hiring one on my own. I just work a little bit. I don't have enough money. I have 2 trucks, one that was involved in this situation and the other one that is parked where I lived. So I don't know if you can accept that as a payment for the bond. And I do have an international license, driver license. So I don't know why I was putting as no driver license. And both of my trucks are having insurance for 6 months. So I don't know why they also put that I was not having insurance.
Okay, so Mr. Ramirez, I am appointing an attorney to represent you. So the attorney will be in contact with you. Do you have a phone number where you can be reached.
Estoy entonces, señor Ramírez, solicitando un abogado para que le represente a usted. Este abogado le va a estar llamando por teléfono. ¿Tiene usted algún teléfono donde pueda ser localizado?
Sí, pero no me lo sé, mi celular, ni el de mis familiares. Yo tengo apuntado en mi celular todos los números. Por el momento no recuerdo ninguno. So, si me pueden dar mis propiedades, si mis propiedades quedó mi celular, si me lo dan ahí puedo agarrar los números.
Yes, I do. I have a cell phone number, but I don't know it by heart. Not mine or my family members. But as soon as I get my things, my personal items, I can get that and give it to them.
Okay, so your attorney will be in contact with you, sir, to assist you. So talk to your attorney and your attorney will be able to answer your questions. Okay, do you have any questions for me?
Bien, entonces su abogado va a estar en contacto con usted, señor Ramírez, y él va a ser la persona que le va a poder contestar estas preguntas. ¿Tiene usted alguna otra pregunta para mí?
Sí, quiero saber si yo hace 3 meses yo estuve aquí preso. La juez me liberó el día que yo vine a la corte aquí, luego, por los cargos que me habían puesto no eran válidos. Y yo quedé 2 semanas aquí. No sé, a hoy me voy a quedar, no sé, yo no tengo dinero para irme. Quisiera que me pusieran en un lugar seguro.
3 months ago, I was in jail also for 2 weeks. I was staying here for 2 weeks. The judge released me when I went to court because the charges were not valid. So my question now is, am I going to go? If I'm going to stay because I don't have the money to pay the bond, then I'd like to be put in a safe place.
Okay, so if what you can do, Mr. Ramirez, if you want your case to move along faster before June 15th, you can waive your June 14th. If you want your case to go faster and you want to be heard before June 14th, then you can waive your preliminary hearing, meaning that you can waive the court date and you can proceed with your case.
Bien, señor Ramírez, la forma en la que esto pueda avanzar un poco más rápido sería eliminar el derecho que usted tiene de tener una audiencia preliminar, que es la que está puesta para el día 14 de junio. Si usted elimina ese derecho, entonces pudiéramos continuar con su juicio y hacer que su caso se mueva más rápido.
Do you want to waive your June 14th court date, which is your preliminary hearing date, or do you want to keep that court date scheduled?
¿Quiere usted entonces que eliminar la fecha de su audiencia preliminar, que es para el día 14 de junio, y que se mueva más rápido su caso, o prefiere mantener esa fecha de corte?
No sé cómo hacerle para que fuera más rápido, no sé cómo, o sea, no entiendo la forma que la pregunta, vaya. Yo tengo mi trabajo también, yo quisiera salir, pero necesito salir a buscar el dinero para seguir yo trabajando, porque voy a perder mi trabajo y pues tengo un trabajo donde es poco, pero puedo salir de esa deuda. No sé si me pudieran dar una oportunidad para yo poder salir a trabajar y tales pagando.
Well, I don't really understand how that works. I really don't understand what's best for me. I don't understand actually the questions. So what I'd like to do is to have an opportunity to be released, so I keep working and at the same time find the money to pay you for this.
Okay, so Mr. Ramirez, I am going to keep your court date scheduled. So on June 14th, if you are still incarcerated, you will be brought up before the court by Zoom video conference, and your attorney will also be present to represent you on that day as well. So talk to your attorney who can help you.
Bien, señor Ramírez, voy a mantener entonces la corte puesta para usted el día 14 de junio. Si para entonces usted todavía sigue encarcelado, entonces va a ser traído ante la corte para tener un juicio vía Zoom. Va a estar presente también su abogado, quien le va a estar representando en ese momento. Yo le sugiero que hable usted con el abogado, quien le va a estar ayudando.
All right, so have a good day, Mr. Ramirez.
Que tenga buen día, señor Ramírez.
Muchas gracias.
I invest hours of my time every single day to make these videos possible. Unfortunately, the engagement on my videos has been very low recently. Most of the bond court viewers do not hit the like button on my videos. Please, 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 hit the like button on my videos. The YouTube algorithms heavily favor videos with more likes. If you do not like my videos, then please tell me why in the comments and I can make changes to improve the channel. Thank you to all of you that do hit the like button. I am sorry that you have to hear this repetitive message, but without this message, less than 10% of viewers will like my videos.
Thank you to all of my patrons, members, and supporters. You are the reason that I am able to upload new Bond Courts daily. All members and patrons receive access to the Bond Court Discord server. Please send me a message on Patreon or leave a comment on YouTube if you are unable to join the server. Thank you all for your support.